of creation. Verse 6, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. Verse 7, how much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. This is their mindset. Because the Lord, He trieth the reins in the heart. He knows how they're thinking and how they're so arrogant and pompous. Like they don't think nothing's ever going to happen to them for all this wicked stuff they've done. Verse 8, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. There's that fire again. For strong is the Lord Yahweh who judgeth her. Because it's going to be a fire with those ICBM missiles and the chariots. And verse 9, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. See, this is all for the controversy of Zion. Verse 10, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. It's only going to take the Lord 1 hour. That's a lot of anger. We're having to tear all these nations up, and this one, Babylon, all of them in 1 hour. That's going to be a lot of anger right there. And from there, we're going to go to the book of Zephaniah. Book of Zephaniah. Past it. Zephaniah chapter 1. And I'm going to read verse 17 and 18, and it reads, and I will bring distress upon men, that they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against the Lord. And their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as the dung. So Zephaniah the prophet's prophesying about it. Verse 18, neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath, in the day of the Lord's anger. But the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of His jealousy. Now there's that fire again. He said the whole land is going to be devoured by the fire of His jealousy. For He shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. And that's what Yachanan the Revelator was saying. It's only going to take him 1 hour. That's a speedy riddance that he's talking about. So they're not going to get it away for this controversy of Zion. They're not going to get a pass. And from there, I'm going to go to the book of Isaiah. We're almost there. A few more. Isaiah chapter 34, verse 1 through 8. See what Isaiah the prophet said about this. This is all for the controversy of Zion. Isaiah 34, verses 1 through 8, and it reads, come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken. He's saying you need to listen, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth of it. He's saying everybody that's in this whole world, not just Yasharallah, he's saying everybody, you better listen to this. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations. See, he's addressing everybody. He's addressing the Moabites, the Chinese, the Ammonites, the Japanese, the Hamites, the Africans, the Elamites, the East Indians, this place, Babylon, these Esau and all these other people. He's addressing them all in this. Let me read that again. Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth of it. Verse 2, for the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and His fury upon all their armies. So He's going to be fighting all their armies, because the Lord is a man of war. The Lord of hosts is His name. He's going to be victorious. It says, let me read that verse 2 again. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and His fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter. Verse 3. Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. There's that fire again. He's explaining how it's going to be smelling. It's going to be so smelly from all those dead carcasses. Verse 4, and all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll. Because when a nuclear bomb hit, it's going to be like a mushroom cloud. That's why he's explaining how it's going to look. And all that, Salakia, and all their hosts shall fall down, and the leaf, Salakia, as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree. He's saying like they're all going to drop. In other words, they're going to just fall down, because he's going to destroy them. For my sword, verse 5, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea. Idumea was one of the capital cities where Edom lived. Basra, Idumea, the Caucasus Mountains, this is all their homeland. So he has a controversy with what they've done to his people. They were the ones that crucified Christ, and they were the ones that covered up his face and then kept doing it. There's continue to kill his people. So this is that controversy. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, and upon the people of my curse to judgment. Verse 6, the sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Lord hath a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. So he's going to do a sacrifice with Basra, with Idumea, which is Esau. And the unicorn shall come down with them, as the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, verse 8, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. This is for the controversy of Zion. This is the main. He's so angry at Basra, Idumea, Esau. Mainly, he really has a problem with them. And from there, I'm going to go to Isaiah chapter 14. Stay in the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 1 through 3, and it reads, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, Yasharallah, and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. So the way we've been cleaving to these people over here, they're going to be over there, but in captivity, of course. Verse 2, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants, slaves, and handmaids, slaves, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So that's the good news. It's going to be a shift of power. It's going to be trading places. And verse 3, and it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. So this is when we're going to get our rest. Like Micah chapter 2 and 10, he says, come out of her, my people, for this is not our rest. This isn't it, but Jerusalem is, when he takes us back to Jerusalem. And from there, I'm going to go to Isaiah 31. A couple more. Isaiah chapter 31. And I'm going to read verse 4 through 5. And it reads, for thus hath the Lord spoken unto me, like as the lion Salakia, let me start over. For thus hath the Lord spoken unto me, like as the lion and the young lion roaring on his prey, when a multitude of shepherds is called forth against him. He will not be afraid of their voice, nor abase himself for the noise of them. So shall the Lord of hosts come down to fight for Mount Zion. See, he's coming down to fight. The Lord is a man of war. And for the hill thereof. And verse 5, as birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it. And passing over, he will preserve it. So that's the birds flying, the chariots he's talking about flying over. So when Yahweh willing, we get raptured up into those chariots. And then with only our eyes, like David said in Psalms, we're going to see the rewards of the wicked. And that's what everyone should be wanting. And from there, I'm going to go to Amos chapter 9. Back to the book of Amos. I think I passed Amos. Amos 9, and I'm going to read verse 8 to 15. And it reads, behold, the eyes of the Lord Yahweh are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith the Lord. This is going to destroy 2/3 of our own people because they don't want to listen. They don't want to come back to their first love. Verse 9, for lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve. Yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. Verse 10, this is the scary part. All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say, the evil shall not overtake, nor prevent us. Salakia. The ones that don't want to come back, and they just want to stay in this wicked society, doing this pagan days and doing all these things, he says they're going to die. He said, all the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say, the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. Verse 11, in that day will I raise up the tabernacles of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof. And I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. Like Moses was saying in Deuteronomy 32. Remember the days of old. Starting at verse 7, he was saying that. Consider the years of many generations. Verse 12, that they may possess the remnants of Edom, and of all the heathen, which are called by my name, saith the Lord, that doeth this. So all the ones that don't get destroyed, when he comes, cracks that sky, they're all going into slavery. We're gonna have them as our possessions. That's what he's saying here. Verse 13, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, because they've been reaping all the benefits now from all of our forefathers, all that labor and free labor in the cotton fields, the tobacco fields, sugar cane fields, trillions and trillions of dollars they made. And that's why they own everything, because they didn't give us our portion. They benefited. So let me read that again. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes him that soweth seed. And the mountain shall drop sweet wine, and all the hills shall melt. There goes that fire again, all the hills. When you see mountains and hills, that's getting into powerful nations. That's what the mountains and the hills. He's going to destroy all those nations. Verse 14, and I will bring again the captivity of my people of Israel, and they shall build the waste cities, and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and drink the wine thereof. They shall also make gardens and eat the fruit of them. So then we're going to be able to sit under our fig tree, because nobody's going to be able to bother us, because this is after Yahushua takes care of all the adversaries. Verse 15, and I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land, which I have given them, saith the Lord thy God, Yahweh. So once he puts us back in our land, we're never going to be plucked up again, he said. And from there, I'm going to go to 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 4. 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 10 through 14. This is the good news. All this is the good news. I'm going to pass chapter 4. 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 10 through 14, and it reads, we are fools for Christ's sake, but you are wise in Christ. Yeah, we fools for Christ's sake. People say, yo, you guys are crazy. Yeah, we fools for Christ's sake, but you are wise in Christ. We are weak, but you are strong. Ye are honorable, but we are despised. Because everybody hates us. Verse 11, even unto this present hour we both hunger and thirst, and are naked, and are buffeted, and have no certain dwelling place. There's a lot of our people, they're taking all of their areas, their neighborhoods, redlining, they're just pushing them out of neighborhoods, and they're taking over. And they're homeless. Verse 12, and labor, working with our own hands, being reviled, we bless. Being persecuted, we suffer it. Being defamed, verse 13, being defamed, we entreat. We are made as the filth of the world, and are the offscouring of all things unto this day. So this is Apostle Paul in Corinthians. Verse 14, I write not these things to shame you, but as my beloved sons, I warn you. He's like, I'm not trying to shame you, but I'm warning you they're going to treat you like this. And I've got one more, and that's Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 17 to 20. I'm going to close with this one. Zephaniah. Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 17 through 20, and it reads, the Lord thy God in the midst of thee is mighty. He will save. He will rejoice over thee with joy. He will rest in his love. He will joy over thee with singing. Because we're going to be singing that new song. Like it says in Revelation, Jehovah willing, we'll be singing that new song. Verse 18, I will gather them that are sorrowful for the solemn assembly, who are of thee, to whom the reproach of it was a burden. Because we've been this burden to these people. They always blame everything on the Jakes. We're the problem. Oh, we're lazy. Our people, they're drug dealers. They're the pimps. They're all these negative stereotypes. So he said we've been a burden. Let me read that again. 18. I will gather them that are sorrowful for the solemn assembly, who are of thee, to whom the reproach of it was a burden. Verse 19. Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee, and I will save her that halteth, because they've been putting obstacles in our way, and gather her that was driven out, and they've been driving us out of our homelands, and I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. Remember, Paul was saying how they've been defaming us in Corinthians, said we were being defamed everywhere, always calling us all these proverbs, bywords, and names. And then verse 20 says, at that time will I bring you again, even in the time that I gather you, for I will make you a name and a praise among all people of the earth, when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, saith the Lord. So that's the good news, brothers and sisters. That's the good news. If you continue running this race with endurance, this is what you're going to get, that kingdom. You're going to get Christ's kingdom, David's kingdom. And with that, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, Shalom.